Today we're going to be talking about... All right, guys, the psychodrama is over. All right. Today we're going to be talking about... we finna be talking today about a contentious topic, possibly. We're talking about Zyzz and the concept of we're all going to make it. Now, a lot of the modern man, seems to really place Zyzz under the category of toxic masculinity. And now I'd say I'm fairly, I'm a lefty. I'm woke, I'd feel like a majority of us here are actually pretty progressive. And a lot of our experience when it comes to Zyzz is actually indeed a positive one. How does Zyzz fit into toxic masculinity? But also at the same time, what can someone do to sort of reclaim that as a symbol of a positive mental attitude that we should sort of embody, or rather that I feel like the world really needs at the moment?
Who is Zyzz?
Who is Zyzz? That's a very good question. He was a Russian-born Australian bodybuilder, personal trainer, and a model. He was established a cult following after posting multiple videos of himself on YouTube starting in 2007, right? So Zyzz has become somewhat of this, figment of culture in the late 2010s. And when I was around 11 years old, around that, everyone at high school in the year above me and the years above me all celebrated Zyzz as this hero of modern day lifting culture and just like popular culture in general in Sydney, localized in Sydney and Australia for the most part. And actually to an extent world acclaim. I feel like maybe through the internet around that era too. But like most of my interactions with the Zyzz entity have been talking to people in real life about him and seeing how they actually feel about him. It's not until like 2016, 2017 that I started seeing him more of a presence online. And not just in the present time of 2016, 2015, I'm also talking about like he was also a force of nature on the internet in the periods that he was alive. He died in like 2011 in Thailand because of a heart attack in a sauna, I believe. Mm-hmm. A lot of people associate that with taking steroids. Apparently it was true that he was on steroids at the time, but a lot of other people also say that, dude, it wasn't actually the steroids that killed him. It was an undiagnosed heart condition in combination with the steroids he was taking. And apparently he was on a light dose of them too. And that combination just in a sauna with extreme heat just killed the dude. You know what I mean? Just fucking ended him. Yeah.
He got clapped.
He got clapped hard, man. He got clapped. But more than that, like it's what the world's reaction was to him dying that I feel like was important. Like a lot of people paraded him as this person, as this angelic figure that is a purporter of positive mental attitude to life. He has this very famous video where he gives this little speech and he says, I'm not Zyzz, because his real name's Az. And he's like...
His name's Zyzz.
Is it a Zyzz?
Yeah, it's a Zyzz.
A Zyzz, right. His real name's a Zyzz and he's like, I'm Az, I'm not Zyzz. Zyzz is a spirit who took over me. And he talks about how, obviously he's joking, but like he talks about in that speech how you ought to stop being a sad cunt and start being a sick cunt, and what you have to do to get there.
And he says it's a choice.
Yeah, he also makes it clear to us that it's a choice. So, and then it all sort of, this one quote sort of establishes that whole lifestyle mentality. This is a person. That quote is, we're all going to make it, Brahs. Like when you see that quote online in various bodybuilding forums and just forums in general, Facebook, YouTube, and comment sections and all that kind of stuff, you associate that immediately with Zyzz, and it alludes to an idea of like, hey man, regardless of what's going on, we're all going to make it. This is all part of the process in making it. As for what making it means, when Zyzz said it himself in that speech that he gave, that's on YouTube, you can find it. You can just look up Zyzz speech. When he said it himself, he was referring to all the haters and all the people worried about not being shredded in time for summer back in like 2010 or 2011. That's what he was talking about when he released the video. That's who he was referencing when he was saying.
Really? Was it like getting shredded for stereo?
Yeah, it was like something like that. So something just that. It's like, don't worry, bro, we're all going to make it for the summer. But ever since then, ever since his death, where that statement was immortalized, a lot of people, a lot of different groups and a lot of people took that statement and started, recontextualizing it in terms of like now there's like more of a psychological trope to it. Like, don't worry, man, we're all going to make it to where we want to be in our lives, where we feel existentially, comfortable, because a lot of that quote is used by people who are in a state of grinding themselves. That is as in to say, like, people who are embodying the process of, self-actualization. That's where the term is mostly used, I find. And yeah, it just turned into this interesting force, man, and how like Zyzz is just recontextualized, not just lifting culture, gym culture in Australia, but also like how he influenced a generation of people just having a positive mental attitude and a good outlook in regards to any hard grind pursuit ever in their life. He's transcended the lifting sphere, if you ask me. But yeah, earlier I said it's a bit contentious because obviously like the content itself is, it's, what's the word, Quinton? I don't know. There's a level of
Zyzz. You mean Zyzz was a problematic guy?
Yeah, he's a problematic guy. I feel like now, if you were to bring Zyzz, if Zyzz was alive today, posting the stuff that he said, he would be cancelled. I feel immediately. Like he talks about
definitely.
fucking bitches. He talks about fucking bitches, quote unquote, as a way to success. He says that you got to lift weights, you got to go to the gym, you got to go out and party hard at clubs and stuff, and you got to go to stereo. And he says those are the keys to success. And I feel like it is kind of stupid. If you look at it nowadays, I feel like it doesn't really stand.
I think I like it because it's a real like time capsule. Do you know what I mean? You really understand like a 21, or 22, I think when he died, like stereo, being a stripper, going to the gym, doing coke.
Yeah,
he was a stripper. Yeah, he was a great one.
Did you see his
all of that, like it's a real like slice of life. You know what I mean? He's very honest. I think actually what people really like about Zyzz is his honesty. He's very transparent. He says entirely what he thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, very genuine dude. And I think like his attitude of wanting to become like the sick cunt as opposed to the sad cunt almost transcended any of those specific things he was doing. It was like an attitude shift. It was, he used to be a skinny dude in high school with very little friends playing WoW all day. Like he was that quiet kid in class, and, he became Zyzz. This person is doing all these, outrageous things, making these videos where he's like doing push-ups in the middle of traffic or like just dancing at like stereo or like stuff like that and like flirting with girls and just being himself unashamedly,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting, man. It's super interesting. I feel like that's the way he really inspired people. I don't feel like he inspired people as much as lifting, because a lot of lifters look to Zyzz and be like, I don't know, man, like the way he lifts and stuff. Like there's a lot of genuine fitness complaints in regards to Zyzz. So the inspiration sort of dies out there very quick. But where that inspiration that he helped build sort of carries through is just in an expression of honesty, I feel, more so than like you said, the individual things he was talking about, fucking bitches and going to clubs and stuff and trolling and doing stupid shit. Like, it's just like the unconditional positive mental attitude you should have towards the hustle that you're invested in, stop being a sad cunt, and yeah, anyway, I want to go into the words, we're all going to make it, and what that means for everyone here, because I know all of us in the past few years have repeatedly brought that phrase up in moments of darkness and in moments of success. I know everyone here has their own kind of way of going about saying it and what they mean when they say it and when they look at it, what it means to them. I'll start off with Giorgio Lambos. Giosacci, sorry. Let's start off with Giosacci.
One or the other.
Right. So yes. What?
Yes, sir.
What does? Yeah, we're going to. I'm not going to say this every time to each different fucking person. But
I like. Yeah, I feel very important. I got to say, I feel like a somebody, bro.
Yeah, cool, man.
I feel like I've made it. If I may.
So, when you hear the phrase "we're all going to make it," what does it mean to you? And when do you choose to use it?
Bro, you know what? I'm going to flip the script on you because I'm going to quote something you said like 3 or 4 years ago. You have this
That's
interpretation.
fucking scary, dude.
Yeah, Logan, that's right, man. I'm just putting that shit on the table, bro. It was, we're all going to make it. We've always been making it, and we always will be making it.
Did I say that?
Yeah, man.
Fuck, man. I was a happy, naive kid. Sorry, a little bit of pessimism, if you.
Well, you know, that's the thing. I don't see it as naivety. Maybe the spirit in which you said it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you feel now it came from that. But I think in the words themselves, in the deeper meaning, because I got to ask the question: what does it mean to make it? You know, to make something. So
you're answering my question with another question.
Yeah, well, I'll also answer my own question if that.
Thanks,
helps.
bro. Yeah, super.
But like to make something, to create something, to build. All right, we're all going to make it. We're going to create it. We're going to build it. We're going to put it together. We always have been making it. We've always been creating something. We've always been working towards something. Like, I don't think that the inspiring thing about making it is in the idea of the thing itself, because when you have a goal is fundamentally abstract. It may depict something real, but you're imagining a scenario. And I think the joy is in working towards that scenario. Therefore, you are always making it just by, you know, trying to get shredded for stereo. You know, it's almost like, you know, if you get there, that's like secondary to like the fact that you had this thing that you were passionate about and it gave you a sense of meaning and purpose. And I don't think it's all about meaning and purpose. I think actually you can actually get very radical and say that when we're making it, anything you do is considered making it. But that's getting pretty abstract.
Actually, on that note, something just came to my head is that if you think of you know, like human beings, something that I've been thinking about recently is that we're all like kind of trapped either in the present, in the past or the future. We're spending very little time actually living in the present. Yeah. And that's like an art form that needs to be learned. But if you think of the sense that if you fuck off the present or you fuck off the future and you only believe that the present exists.
Yep.
If you were just trying in whatever you're doing, then you are making it. Like, if only the present exists, do you know what I mean? That is the making it. Like, that is the goal. It's just living in the present.
Oath, bro. 100%. And that's kind of why I like the quote so much, because like it expands upon the fact that we're all going to make it. It may have this sense of like, it appears to be future tense, but I think the fact that it can be interpreted in the sense of the present mindedness, because objectively, not everyone's going to get shredded for stereo. We're not all going to be shredded units for stereo. Some of us won't physically make it, but the resonance of the words isn't like the fact. Like, the cool thing about the words isn't that that's a literal statement. Oh, we're going to make it means, oh, dude, this is objectively true. Zyzz was a prophet who knew that we're all going to make it. But like, it's the energy, right? It's like,
Zyzz is the guy that can give me my ultimate transcendental object par excellence that satisfies my existence. Yeah. He's the ultimate father.
Yeah, man. Like, the wisdom. But that's the thing. Like, that's why it's a transcendental object, because it exists in the transcendental sphere. And I think that's the thing about motivational energy in general. Motivation only exists when you're motivated. Therefore, it is always in the present. So as long as you believe that you are making it, then you are making it. And I don't mean that in a fake it till you make it kind of way. I mean, there is no faking it. Just by the act of creating it, you have made it. You know? Right.
See, I'm inclined to take a different perspective on what it means, but I'll get to that later. Quinton, what do you think? What would you say making it means? What is that quote? We're all going to make it mean to you. If it's any different to what you said.
So when I was younger, actually, I thought Zyzz was kind of funny, but like nerd me thought he was really like cringe and was like intimidated by his
same
his muscles.
Yeah, me too.
But now that I know he's dead, I can definitely talk shit.
Now that I know he's dead, I've won in the long run.
I've made it.
Nah, rest in peace. I just want to make a disclaimer of that.
Don't beat me up, chest bro.
Chest bro.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're saying so.
I think what it means to me is because like I don't believe like with any skill, it is impossible to master it. It's whether that's like enlightenment or cooking or like weightlifting or anything. Like you will never. The quest is infinite. You know, it's always going on. So the idea of making it as like is like an endpoint, as a finite goal, unless maybe making it means death, which is kind of interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
It's like an absolute.
Yeah, we're all gonna fucking die. That's what he meant.
We're all gonna fucking die.
Yes, just discovered that human beings die in 2010. Before then, we had no clue where we went, bro.
Oh my god, that's why he was sending it so hard. He's like, shit. You've got to tell people. But for me, what it means is just like it's just like doing your best in whatever it is. You know, it's like trying hard and not being an NPC, like taking your life into your own hands and yeah, just trying to make something of yourself, of literally like whatever it might be. You know, if it's like juggling or like literally anything, you know.
For a second, my mind went to juggaloing.
Yeah, dude. If
like
you
male prostitutes, like juggalos.
Oh, I thought you meant
That's gigolo. like ICP, yeah, like insane clown possibility.
Yeah, wait, which one am I talking about?
Wait, are you talking about like, you know, the sleazy men, or are you talking about the people with the funny makeup?
You know, I don't
which is which?
Yeah, Quinton, continue. Sorry. Juggling, yeah, you're talking about juggling.
Jiggling, what?
So when I'm gigoloing, I'm just trying to do my best. You know, I'm trying to satisfy the client. I think it's like a simple thing. I think like just not giving up in whatever your goal is, and just, but it can like literally be like keep like tidying your kitchen, you know,
clean your room.
Yeah, cleaning your room. Just trying to, I don't know. I think that's a really simple message. It's not a super resonant message if you're feeling really depressed. But for me, coming as someone who's like in a pretty good, you know, in a good place right now, I'm like, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
We're all going to make it. Just try. You know, the trying is the reward. Trying is the end point.
Right, yeah. Interesting. Nathan? What is your answer to the grand question of what it means to you, huh?
So, the situation is you're a sad cunt, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a sick cunt. Now, a sad cunt, he has some, you know, you have some vision of how you could be better, of the dream, right?
Yeah.
But you feel you're behind the curve.
Mm.
You know, you're the sad cunt. You're a bit low on it. But the notion is we're all going to make it. And so, to me, that means it's like there's this idea that the seeker is the finder.
Right.
So the sad cunt is the sick cunt, because that longing is within you. You have that desire at like a base level that you want to live up to a higher vision of who you could be.
Yeah.
And the idea to me is that if you have that hunger, that's it, bro. You've already made it. So it's almost like it's trying to...
Some weird paradoxical position.
Well, it's like if you could just get out of your own way in that process, it's like then all that there is the process to becoming the sick cunt.
Right.
It's not, oh, I'm a sad cunt. I'm not a sick cunt. It's I am becoming the sick cunt.
Yeah, right.
It's like, and that's the fun part, right? Like that's the whole journey is in there.
Yeah, it's the grind. See,
and, yeah.
Yeah, no, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that's interesting because, like, I feel that's like at first glance when you first hear it, you're like, "What a fucking stupid paradoxical position." But then, if you know yourself intimately and you know how people are intimately in general, you realize that when you're alive and when you're existing in your being, it's not just like the one absolute version of yourself. There's the you that's at the steering wheel, and then there's like all the different yous in that process that contribute to your mental space that you experience in that current moment. And it's like when you're in the midst of a grind, like half of you is sure that you're going to do it and you're going to get it, and say the other half of you is fucking accepting defeat. And he's like, dude, I don't know how I can do this. What the fuck? This is fucked. Like, if you're very much caught up in the grind and very much caught up and you're on your edge, in terms of making it, whatever that means. And I feel like, you have to realize, or rather, I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I feel like it better sits when you look at we're all going to make it as an invitation to resonate with the parts of you that are infatuated with the process of what you're doing, rather than resonating with the parts of you that are just seeing faults and the dust in the process of whatever it is you're doing, And I feel like, I feel like that's like the,
Try for the counter perspective, or at least not in an argumentative way, but I think in a way that like kind of like complements what you're saying. Because
that was meant to be a compliment, by the way, onto what Nathan was saying. I wasn't.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was gonna add that, like, because like Nathan said, right? Zyzz is talking to the sad cunts and telling them that they actually are in fact sick cunts. So in a sense, to resonate,
if they want to be.
If they want to identify with it, if that's what essentially when he says, if you want to identify with it, if you want to resonate with the radical positivity that lies within a seemingly absurd situation or gloom situation. Sorry, Jim, continue.
No, that's good, because like that's essentially what Zyzz is speaking to, not just Zyzz himself, but even like the mimetic Zyzz that exists in his legend, in like the myth of Zyzz that's been left
in the
behind.
collective consciousness.
Yeah, if you look at any of like the
symbols.
Comics, and any of the comics or memes of Zyzz speak to the conscious, like you said, the collective conscious in that way. Like it's always some dejected, sad dude who's like struggling with his lifts, and he's feeling bad about life and for whatever reason, and then angelic Zyzz comes out of the heavens and he somehow reassures him, lets him know that everything's actually pretty freaking good. Like, don't worry, man. Like
even me, am I even gonna make it? And it's like, of course you will, bro. I always have been. See,
that's
I want to add a more Hegelian or more dialectical interpretation to this as well. And that is the process of identifying in the grind, when your lifts are shit, or when everything's fucking falling apart around you. I don't mean to sound like a Peterson, by the way. I really hope that's not what I'm coming off as. But I'm just rolling a cigarette. I hope you guys can hear that.
Do it close to the mic, man. Get the good ASMR sounds, bro.
Wait. Ready?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's the stuff.
I feel like that was a good way to...
Yeah, that was 21, bro.
That's a cigarette. See, now you can't conflate. Oh, now you can't listen to this and be like, oh, just another Peterson podcast. Wow. Because I'm smoking cigarettes. I'm fundamentally against cleaning my room. Because if I have, I wouldn't be smoking. But here I am, boys. That's the way it is. Anyway, what I wanted to say was more like a Hegelian understanding, I guess, of what we've been talking about so far, is the idea as identifying the person that's in the midst of a low point in their hustle as still someone who is going to make it. And that's a far-fetched idea. You might ask, what the fuck is Hegel got to do with Zyzz, dude? Like, this is a very outrageous idea. But in the idea of how, like, the threefold movement of how manifesting truth kind of works in a philosophical sense, and that is a process of, a thesis, an antithesis, and then a synthesis. Hegel never actually said that himself, by the way. Like, that was a thing later stitched onto, what he was essentially talking about, like a summary. But he never said those three words. I just want to clarify that. But
stay in the good books of the Hegelian Society, huh?
Yeah, dude, I want to stay in the good books of the Hegelian Society, man.
You don't want the Hegelians turning up to your room at bloody 3 a.m. Fucking.
I don't want the Hegelians turning up to my house and then telling me don't read those books anymore.
You get barred.
You're banned from reading these books. But the idea in how the idea of truth manifests in that threefold movement, and how in that threefold movement there's the inevitable process of the antithesis. And I'd like to. Maybe I'm equivocating here, right? Maybe I am, but just maybe it could make sense if we ignore that I might be equivocating, right? And that is the idea of how when you're in those low points in that hustle, that is akin to the antithesis in the manifestation of truth, in the threefold movement. And I feel like what we're all going to make it sort of does, you know, in the context of those comics, and when it addresses the sad, quote unquote sad con, what it's trying to do is trying to remind the person in that period of antithesis or you know, gloom, that is included in the process of making it itself. And I think that's how, for me, it escapes the naivety of like the naivety that would be associated with a very, you know, bullshit quote that doesn't go far, like stay positive, haha, you're doing good. Like, dude, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's how we're all going to make it transcends that. Because the way that it's expressed online and in the general collective conscious of the internet, per se, the way it's expressed is always in response to someone feeling that antithesis, you know, feeling the gloom and feeling the grind, and like the parts of themselves, they're more identifying with the parts of themselves that are witnessing the dust and the shit in what they're doing, rather than the good stuff, which is still true, by the way. Like, you rely on focusing on the dust to improve whatever it is that you're doing. You know, you don't want to be just doing things and ignoring, you know, the shitty things about things. But, you know, that's the process of the antithesis. But yeah, I feel like that's where we're all going to make it gets like somewhat Hegelian.
Yeah, you know what? I really like that interpretation. And I want to like chime in with the idea that the Hegelian thing about we're all going to make it is deeply rooted with the antithesis part, particularly because that's the Zyzz that, or rather, Zyzz is an antithesis to the nerd thesis. Like, Zyzz speaks to the bitter nerd, or
yeah, dude, it's because he was one,
the
like
sad,
Nathan said.
the sad cunt, and tells them they are a sick cunt. In a sense, like, he is presenting an antithesis, and then eventually the synthesis is coming from that. Like, I think a part of the process is the fact that Zyzz himself is, you know, came from those roots. Like, he's not just making that up. Like, that's authentic to his own experience. Like, you said.
Dude, he definitely didn't grow up as, like, you know, I'd like to say, just as a disclaimer, I am part of the WOG community, and that is all the Mediterranean community within Sydney, so I'm allowed to say that. But I feel like he didn't grow up, his childhood wasn't very, you know, archetypically woggish, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, like he wasn't the cool kid with the jet ski.
Yeah, he wasn't the cool kid with a jet ski, and his dad didn't force him to play soccer, to hang out with his bros and cousins, and play FIFA on his PS2, PS3. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Zyzz was definitely way more closer to what my childhood was like, which was playing WoW, not moving from my room. You know what I mean? And that kind of stuff. He was that.
It's funny, a lot, you know, three of the four of us have said that. Like, we've all said, you know, we came to Zyzz, we first discovered him as bitter nerds. And here we are now as grown men talking about him. And, you know, we love the cunt, you know.
Dude, yeah, I feel like in the words of Frank Yang, he breaks the, what's the word? The stereotype of what it means to occupy that idea of being at the peak of your game. And he's doing that by coming from absolutely nothing in terms of, like, you know, in reference to his grind, you know, which was a skinny kid with, like, that was unfit and everything like that. And then he turned into this peak of the game model to an extent.
That's perhaps his most antithetical part of his nature.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's why I think he's more than just a meathead. A lot of people say he's like, oh, this is just an idiot meathead, dude. I'm like, nah, man, you're only seeing like one half of it. But yeah, sorry, Quentin.
I think what's interesting about Zyzz is that I just had this thought that, like, I watched this the new Orgasmo No Breaks video of, like, pickup artists, and what's funny is how, like, transparently insecure they are, even though they've, like, specced into the game so hard.
Yeah,
you can tell that they are still the bitter nerd within, with it just, like, channeled in this really, like, fucked up and unhealthy way.
Yeah,
but
dude,
Zyzz, I feel like actually, in his own way, completed the transformation. Like, he integrated the nerd and became something else, you know?
Yeah. 100%, dude. 100%.
An actual metamorphosis.
He became his WoW character in a sense. He became the hero.
Wait, who does anyone know Zyzz's, like, WoW?
Oh, don't have a clue.
My mate does, Dylan. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, the Zyzz appeals, it integrates that abyss of you know, no life nerd internet culture into the process of, you know, transcendence. It's a success story amongst that.
He traded one obsessive dopamine hit of WoW for the other obsessive dopamine hit of just getting the pump for like 3-hour gym sessions every day.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Well, you know what? On that idea of him speaking to that person who is most unlike what he became, at least on the surface level, I think that's why I'm interested in Zyzz as an antithetical figure, as this sort of, you know, because the conversation in earlier, we had this idea come up of like, there's certain mindsets or life states you'll be in where you don't resonate with Zyzz. And there's times you might think that he's just being a positive jerk and he's full of shit. But end of the day, like, if you're thinking like that, you probably need Zyzz's message the most.
Cult of Zyzz. No, yeah, but I get like,
yeah, that sounds really cool. It's like, hey, if you think Zyzz is full of shit, then you're the one that really needs his saving.
Exactly.
I think the reality is that Zyzz was the character, man. Like, it was a character. He wasn't Zyzz. Zyzz was something that, you know, like he said,
took over who I
him,
am.
right? It took over him, right? Like I don't doubt at all that he was still suffering in daily existence. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, on that note, sorry, can I?
That's
sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, because Chess Bra actually did an interview recently. That's Zyzz's brother, for those who don't know, talking about how Zyzz was actually struggling with a lot of insecurity, and he didn't deal with like his fame well, and he felt like a lot of pressure based on his public persona. So,
wow, interesting.
Yeah. So as you were saying, Nathan, but yeah, that's official.
Wow.
That's officially source-based, bro.
Like, I feel like someone who's really in tune with Zyzz or really loves him probably knows that there's like deep down, he's not always Zyzz.
Yeah, man.
Like, he's a person, bro. That's the thing. But he can channel Zyzz at times. He can be that person, and he wants to share that. He wanted to, you know, to show people, hey, you can be this sick cunt.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I feel like when he died, that part of him was immortalized. The altruistic side of him, you know? Like, I feel like that was really immortalized. But if he had lived, I can't imagine what he would be today. I hope he wouldn't be something like the way Bam Margera is. You know, like I could vividly imagine him going into a world of like abstract and abject insecurity and chaos and terror, and just like, you know, really just destroying the title of who he was when he was 22.
Hey, you should talk Zyzz, bro. You don't believe in him?
I mean,
you want the cult of Zyzz to come to your house at 2 a.m?
Told me I'm allowed to read Hegel.
Hegel books, yeah.
Oh, you're reading Hegel books? That's cool, bro. What about the gym? Nah, but dude, actually, like, I feel like there has to be a level of like picking apart Zyzz as well, though. Like, in
it depends if you want to talk about the character Zyzz or the person behind.
Dude, well, that's the thing. I feel like a separation in the name of truth has to happen.
I don't feel. I agree with Nick, and I also, to answer Nathan's question, I don't feel qualified to talk about a Zyzz Shavasian, but I do feel qualified to talk about Zyzz, the character, public persona.
100%, dude. I'd say.
In fact, I have no interest in talking about, you know, the guy, the actor playing Zyzz. So to speak.
Well, that is the thing that gave birth to that. So I feel like
vessel,
it was definitely the vessel of that spirit of Zyzz.
Well, I'm gonna say, maybe no interest is wrong. I don't mean to say I don't care.
But I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like I don't want to, like, you know, psychoanalyze and try to pick him apart and make Zyzz a pathological entity, because I do fundamentally think that any sort of negativity that gave birth to Zyzz in the first place has been transcended by the sheer just virility and life force and you know, positive mental attitude that Zyzz represents, which I think is good for the world, and it's a dope thing.
Also, just a quick note, like, he died when he was like 22, was it? Is that how old he was when he died? Yeah. Dude, sorry, Nick. People are retarded when they're 22.
What the fuck, man? Hey, man. Hey. Dude, what if I die in a fucking sauna? Then what are you going to say? I hope my message is like, oh, yeah, Nick wanted the best for everyone all the time, you know? Until like,
if you die in a sauna, you'll be legendary, all right? Do you want to get mythical status?
What would your quote be? What would we're all going to make it be?
Fucking, I think that
Just steal Zyzz's quote.
No. Like it'd just be fucking. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, that's Steve. Yeah, I'll just embody someone else's quote, dude. It's like Nick. I'm using this moment to perpetuate someone else's, quote. Yeah.
You can call yourself a Zyzz devotee.
Zyzz devotee. How would I make this decision if I'm already dead? Like this has to happen pre.
We'll make it for you. We respect your wishes and we'll ensure that they're met after you get capped.
Would you like us to
Hegelian society?
Would you like us to make you up a quote, or would you like us just to copy a quote from someone?
You know what? Just make up a quote, man. Just make it up.
Tell you what, we'll run all your favorite quotes through like an AI algorithm, and we'll get a neural network to sort it out.
I've got it. We're all got a 729.
Wait, what about guys? It's happening. Trust me. Oh, it's gonna work. Oh no! Watch this. Yeah, I like that.
That's great because it also sounds like your last words as well.
So watch this. Ready? Mike is perma muted. I had an interesting thing to fucking say. Now I've completely forgotten it. It was in reference to Zyzz Shaversian and Zyzz. I wanted to talk about that quickly. I wanted to mention that as far as looking and understanding a Zyzz as a human, like obviously the nuance that goes into human beings, and if you want to psychoanalyze it, you can. And obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if you were to psychoanalyze it and then come out with a conclusion saying, "No, this guy's actually like a deeply insecure fuckhead, and he like puts down women and all that kind of stuff." And that wouldn't be too far from the truth, right? But I do feel as if when you do that, you're missing a more transcendental position that is above. That. And I guess what I'm talking about then is the spirit of Zyzz as opposed to the human. Now, I was looking at a few articles earlier today about Zyzz and what like the general take on him is as far as, world culture. And I clicked on the New York Post, and they made an article about Zyzz. And it's, it's very standard of today, which I do agree with to an extent and also disagree. And that is that Zyzz obviously treated women like objects in the way that he peddled his mentality and who he was and the keys to success. He very much was alluding to an unrealistic standard of beauty. That's a big problem nowadays. He was definitely fat shaming. There's a million crimes that you could, associate to Zyzz, and you could be sort of valid in your interpretation of that. And dude, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's where you're at, even if you're listening to this. And that's cool. I get that completely. I fully understand that. But I guess I wanted to really home into the nuance of, it's not about that. It's not about that. And then if you do put in his human side, his Zyzz side, he's like, yeah, but he was insecure. He definitely was. It's what was happening. And then that's how it came out. Yeah, dude, you're right there. But still, it's not about that. It's big. It's greater. It's greater.
It's pretty sad kind of attitude to sit there and try to pick apart a dead man when you could,
Well, yeah, there's that.
That's why if anyone talks shit about my friend Jeffrey Epstein, when can't defend him.
Yeah, dude. Don't talk shit about Jeffrey Epstein, bro. No,
he's dead.
You respect him, all right.
I'm just saying, do any of you guys have an island? I don't think so. So
post your island before you.
Yeah, post the island.
Yeah, that's what I thought, bitch.
Dude, there's like some alt-right pages on Facebook that are like Zyzz, infatuated with Zyzz, and their response to like people bashing him on the site, like they all unify and start responding to people who say, dude, this guy's a fuckhead. They all start saying, oh yeah, post physique. Like what if you want to talk bad things about Zyzz, post your physique, and that will validify, is that a word? Validate. It'll validate your perspective or not, But yeah, no, I really want to get down into the crux of transcending, that style of looking at him. And I guess this is a reclamation process, actually genuinely reclamation process with the spirit and attitude of Zyzz, and trying to reclaim him from, being someone who's down for toxic masculinity, more or less. Like, that is very correct in the superficial analysis of Zyzz, is what I want to make clear. That is very correct. And you get away with that. Like,
You know what? You still see it in the modern memes too. Sorry, finish your point.
Yeah. But I wanted to say that, like, what Zyzz, it's not about who Zyzz was, but rather what he's pointing at, you know, coming from that era of the late 2010s. And I feel like that's the main message here, is what we're trying to say. It's like, it's not exactly Zyzz. It's like looking at the fingertip and looking at where the finger's pointing at. You know, if you're looking at the fingertip, then it's valid to say that, like, yeah, he objectifies women, his toxic masculinity, you know, stupid beauty standards and all that kind of stuff, fat shaming, all that kind of stuff, dude, 100%, if you're looking at the finger. But if you sort of use him as a catalyst and use him as an arrow to see what he's pointing at, and he's trying to show that, like, you can make it in your own whatever way of making it means for you, man. If making it means for you doing, you know, I don't know, whatever it is, man, whatever the immediate antithesis to everything that he stands for is, and that you like he's also alluding to the idea that you can make it where you want to be too. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he's pointing at. That's what the spirit of Zyzz is pointing at.
Do you
I feel like
Zyzz,
that's a good. Yeah, I feel like that's how we can reclaim Zyzz. I feel, because I feel like the world needs it right now, man. I feel like the world needs, like, a positive push in the direction of people just like, you know what? Fuck being annoyed and depressed with the world. I'm gonna go out there and make my way, whatever that means. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna make it.
Can I say something real quick just before you jump in, Gio? I don't believe that Zyzz meant that if you want to get fat, you should get fat. Or if you want to get good at gigoloing, you should do that. I think he meant specifically about getting ripped to pull girls.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's big. But that's what a Zyzz meant. But I think the idea of Zyzz has become something more than just a persona that he cultivated. It's like a shared memory. Like, what we're talking about is very abstract and tangential to what he, like, literally said. And that's because Zyzz has become like a symbol that you can interpret in your own way. And I think that is his biggest redeeming quality. That he can, like, we're all going to make it. It's like, whatever that means to you, and you get to decide that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that way you still have the freedom of the subjectivization. So you have no excuse. So if you want to be pissed off, that's your choice to be pissed off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I feel like that's the most important, I feel like, takeaway point from Zyzz as far as, you know, reclaiming him. Yeah, I agree with you, Quinton, 100%. Gio, what did you want to say?
I'm going to throw a crazy spanner in the works here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something I think is pretty out there, but I think it's very true. I think that the power of death as a mythologizing force, it essentially converts a human being. If a human being does have a lot of influence in their life, their death will essentially convert them into a symbol in the collective unconscious, like you said before. And that symbol can be multiple ways. Like, if I'm going to use
meaning, dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you know, there's Jesus Christ, the savior of Christianity, and then there's Jesus of Nazareth, the historical man. And, you know, it's historical fact that Jesus existed, whether or not you're a Christian, whether or not, like, I'm just saying.
I actually don't know if it is. Hey,
I heard it was. That's my understanding. Jesus of Nazareth was a man, but obviously, you know, the debate is still raging on and has been for quite some time. I don't
really give a shit, to be honest.
As to whether he was the savior.
Yeah.
But the point, okay, either way, okay, maybe he wasn't, but, you know, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, was an actual man. Was he actually the Buddha? Was he actually enlightened? I'm not going to answer that question. But the point that I'm making is that history has a way of, death has a way of turning human beings into symbols. And to use more mundane examples, you know, you could say Michael Jackson is a very interesting one because he was both beloved as a pop star and, you know, sort of like had the dark side of being a sexual abuser of children. And, you know, when I remember when he died, there was, you know, it was unacceptable to, like, talk about his sexual abuse cases. Like, I remember distinctly, you know, that point about, it's funny we made a joke of this earlier, like, oh, someone's dead, you can't be disrespectful to them. The mythologization of Michael Jackson, the pop star, had begun.
Wait, just real quick, did you know that Michael Jackson was in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book in his contact?
Wait, what does Black Book mean? Oh,
That was his like ledger, his contact of all the.
Wow.
Yeah, right next to Mick Jagger, actually.
Really?
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
And Michael Jackson had a Netscape email.
What's a Netscape?
You know, like one of those super old emails from like very early internet days.
What the fuck,
Damn.
man? Dude, Epstein, bro, what are you doing? What's happening?
He knew his kind. Holy shit.
What's he doing, man? That's fucking good. Yeah, but no, Gio, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Look, so Michael Jackson becoming this sort of mythical, legendary performer and musician, and also this mythical troubled soul. Like, I think now, you know, compared to the religious figures of yore or anyone from the ancient world, people who were alive more recently, such as Zyzz, who died 10 years ago, I believe, you know, people have enough memory of him that there's a conflict between the persona, or rather the mythologized symbol, and the real person. And you know what, like we said before, you know, I'm happy to redeem him from the, you know, claims of toxic masculinity. I'm not really interested in, you know, lambasting him. But I do find it interesting that, like, there's like I saw a modern meme Zyzz where it's like they've got an old clip of Zyzz dancing and someone superimposed the text, you know, your opinion disregarded because you're a female or something like that. So, you know, like the incels still have a point of resonance with Zyzz. And you can use that as an excuse to criticize, oh, well, if he resonates with incels, that must say something bad about him. If you are so inclined to do so. I'm not inclined to do so. I'm also just want to make a point about, I think that when a person does die, human beings are inherently complex and nuanced, while symbols are equally complex and equally nuanced, but not in the same way. Symbols aren't conflicting. Symbols are pure, and human beings make meaning out of, you know, the meaning that we ascribe to symbols and what they signify is, in a sense, that may be twisted by our humanity, but the symbols we create themselves are pure. And therefore, the symbologization, at the very least, the symbolification, that's the one. Symbolification of Zyzz makes him a pure entity.
Yeah,
but
I see.
Question, but, you know, but the thing is, every human will have a different pure entity. So ours is that we're talking about here. You could be listening to this podcast and saying, man, you guys are just a bunch of, you know, you're riding his dick. Like, you guys have the crappy opinion about Zyzz and you're overlooking negative things. And maybe some other group has Zyzz as a symbol that was wrong. Maybe Zyzz was a bad guy in certain people's, you know, views.
Yeah. I feel like the fluid nature of how symbols work and what they can mean, what they grow to mean, what they can change to mean, is a very important process that we ought to understand in this world that is flooded with symbols. And I mean that, like, you know, when you go on Facebook and you look at the representation of meme, that's a symbol. You know, its meaning isn't very objective. There's no like physical or tangible nature to it where you can derive a definitive meaning. And I feel like that's what, when someone's alive, that's what you can do. You can arrive at definitive conclusions who they are when they're alive. But when someone dies and their consciousness in a per se is injected into the collective consciousness as a symbol, it's at the mercy of interpretation, whatever way you want. Right. And I feel like that is a very fluid process, and that spits out a vast array of different perspectives on what it could mean or what it does mean or whatever. And I feel like now we're getting to the point where it's so fluid that it transcends, it's year by year, it's transcending the definitive and objective idea of who Az was as a human being. And it's getting more and more into this sphere, this abstract sphere of the internet, our consciousness and everything. And it slowly becomes more up to us in how we choose to subjectivize Zyzz. And it's like, dude, choose a way in which that benefits you, because that's what he would have wanted to an extent. You know, maybe if you want to honor the objective idea of it, but like looking at also as a psycho tool, as an invitation to better yourself in whatever way you want that to mean, or if you want that to mean a set way that you already have, or even if that means lifting, you know. It's
just too wholesome to be cynical about, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it's really wholesome. There's also the idea of where, like we are a bunch of people. Like, it's not just like,
No, you're gonna make it, or I'm gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
It's we're gonna make it. It's like it's an invitation for you to partake in the process with your tribe of people, whoever they are, and then Zyzz also in that process with him. You know, that sounds like church. It sounds like church, but you know what I mean? It's just like, it's like, dude, you're included in the process as well, and like find camaraderie within the struggle of whatever it is that you're doing. Like, you know, be a comrade. You know, do that. That's like an idea of it. Yeah. Nathan, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. I guess the way I see it is like the idea of reclaiming Zyzz. I don't feel like I've ever had to reclaim him because I've never really marred his image in my mind. The way that I understand that conflict, or my response to it at least, is like, regardless of any like gripes you have with his character that you can point to here and there, I think something that you definitely can't ignore is that he was fundamentally, genuinely himself. And that was the point. And not only that, but when he came to interact with his fans or people in general, he was legitimately a good dude who fundamentally wanted to inspire.
Yeah.
And I think inspire he did. And I think you can infer, like, I think that's a solid indication of like he was doing good work. He inspired a ridiculous amount of people.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what I think that's what, at least what I've seen, the majority of people I've ever talked to have ever taken away from him.
Right on, man.
Yeah, dude. It's a shame that it's more and more as well. Like, you can't ignore the idea that it's being read into the incel sort of movement, which is a fucking damn shame.
Too, right?
Has it
Like
though? Has Zyzz become part of an
Well, I
incel
mean,
thing?
well, you have to look.
Maybe I used the term incel earlier wrongly. I should have said just misogyny in general. Maybe I kind of link the two, but yeah, that's not.
Oh, bro, they're very different, man. Like, one of them is like, you know, there's. Sorry,
MGTOW. What about that?
MGTOW.
MGTOW, incel. Like, dude, there's like, you can't deny it. Dude, you know what?
Well, not all misogynist incels, but like chances are.
Zyzz was literally the antithesis of an incel. So.
But he was an incel.
Not
that I'm defending incels.
He wasn't
Okay, that's a different
celibate.
That's a complicated conversation.
Sorry. I just associated playing WoW with automatically being an incel.
What, you're telling me this guy was playing WoW and having sex at the same time? How do you do that?
Bullshit. You're lying to me, bro. You're lying to me.
Hey, look, even if there are like incel groups or bitter groups of young men or whoever they are that are out there still resonating with Zyzz, and kind of posting his images still, and like to kind of cause drama or to peddle their opinions, I would say personally that's not a very sick cunt thing to be doing, man. Like, you got to be out there, man. Get in the gym, get shredded, dude. What are you doing? Like, you're not living up to the Zyzz image.
Stop being a bitter cunt. Stop being a bitter cunt, bro.
Stop being like, see, Zyzz said these things. I'm validated in the way I am right now. No, bro. The idea is you're a sad cunt right now. You want to be a sick cunt.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I feel like, I just want to take a second to distance, like, you know, dude, because you see, like, the alt-right are grabbing onto, like, Zyzz as, like, this idealized form of how humanity should be. But I feel like they're doing that in the same way. Like, I see some Facebook, like, pages, meme pages and stuff. But I feel like they're doing that in the same way that the Nazis grabbed onto Nietzsche. You know what I mean? Like how Nietzsche was just like 100% against fascism. He's like, dude, that's bullshit. You've sold your freedom completely. But like, you know, at the time, people were like, see, dude, man, being a fascist is like intellectually like cool because Nietzsche, and then that's, you know, how you get bullshit like that. I feel like there's a lot of room in Zyzz and a lot of that same potential of that symbol being misused and misconstrued into that way. I feel like that's a thing also worth addressing. That's also what Hitler did when he adopted the name National Socialist Party, because socialism was a more popular political ideology. Right. So he just took the name, he appropriated it. So the Nietzscheans and comrades can fucking unite over saying Hitler is bad. Yeah.
About time people can say that.
Yeah. I know we said it's really dog to talk shit about dead people, but I think Hitler was a bad guy. And I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to be real with you. I was joking about defending Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay. I respect your honesty
really?
and your bravery.
Hey, you're brave.
That's really big of you, man.
It's really big. Hey, thanks for that.
I've been wanting to, call Hitler for a while, but I haven't had the fucking stones to do it.
How dare you people? You can't make fun of dead people, all right? That's fucking insensitive, dude. What the hell? What the hell? They're not here to defend themselves. How would you like if you walked out of the room and people just started saying bad things about you?
People start calling you a Nazi, started calling you a, dictator.
Hitler hated getting called a Nazi.
Yeah, so I want to cover this real quick little quote that Zyzz apparently said. And here it is. My message is to train hard. Don't be a hard cunt. Enjoy life and don't take yourself too seriously. If there were more people like me, the world would be a happier place. I'd rather do what I do and have fun than sit back hating on someone achieving something. That's something that he said. I feel like that's pretty fitting to what we've been talking about,
I believe him too.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got like a complimentary quote as well that I wanted to bring up, because we were speaking before about how like we think, or some people had the idea like fundamentally Zyzz was just all about gym.
Yeah.
But like this quote is interesting. He says, I can safely say that my motivation to train goes far beyond that of merely impressing people. It is derived from the feeling of having set goals and achieving them and outdoing myself in the gym. I absolutely love it. The feeling of pushing out that last rep and getting skin-tearing pumps is something I don't see myself without. And
Yeah.
so there we see he's saying that his fundamental love of what he's doing is not in the results. It's not in the image of Zyzz. It's the act. It's the process that he's in love with.
Yeah, the process of just getting good.
And that's what the sick cunt is, man. He's in love with the process of getting good, regardless of where he's at. It's just the process alone that is beautiful.
And that's why we're always making it. I think that's why I'm inclined to interpret the quote that way, because I think that's the energy behind his intent when he says those words,
Mm-hmm.
And you could be anyone, dude. You could be in any struggle, any situation. It's like we're all gonna make it, bro. Like that. You should see, like, when you say that to people when they're in a bad time, regardless who they are, and after you have like a deep conversation with them, you say, "Don't worry, man. We're gonna fucking make it, bro. That's it." Like the fucking look on their face is always like, "Yeah, dude, fuck," like, it's fucking inspiring, dude. Like so many people, man. So many people. The world needs more Zyzz. The world needs more Zyzz. I also like Frank Yang's. I feel like all this as well is stemmed from like me watching Frank Yang too, where he talks about like, he says he wants to be the ultimate spiritual bra. Is that what he says, Gio?
That's it. It comes infinite bra,
Infinite
spiritual
bra.
cunt.
Spiritual cunt. I want to be the most spiritual cunt. Like that, I feel like is a beautiful example of how you can sort of subjectivize Zyzz in your own struggle and pursuit. For instance, Frank Yang sort of using the Zyzz idea in the process of being more in tune with spirituality and meditation and the Dharma, per se, and all that kind of stuff. Is it the Dharma? Maybe I think I said that wrong. Yeah, the Dharma. And he's like, he's gotten like the Zyzz language and appropriated it to his own hustle. And he's like, I want to be a spiritual cunt, I want to be infinite, bra. And I feel like that's the way. That's like the proper way to integrate Zyzz, where he's synthesized into your reality in a way where you're not like, he's not dominating your lifestyle as you would if you were like, insecure and extremely dependent on Zyzz to sort of satisfy your masculinity or validate your masculinity, because that's not an integration, dude. That's just like a neurotic attachment. But when you can have like a synthesis with the idea of Zyzz is when you can afford to have that language maybe, or that entity, that spirit, or whatever you want to call it, that signifier, you can afford to integrate that into your life without giving yourself too much to it, and with it not like affecting you too much to the point where it's just like a You work in tandem with the idea of Zyzz. I like how we're making Zyzz sound like this is actually like Zyzz church talk, man. this is actual Zyzz. Like, dude, if you just replace what I said Zyzz and I said Jesus, like, that's fucking crazy.
Idols, man, idols.
Idols, man. I think that's the bigger thing, though. I feel like that's the bigger thing. It's idols, you know, and beyond idolatry, I mean idols in the sense of just like an appealing part of some human, like conscious meme that evokes an emotion, you know, and it does it well, and it's like an idol.
Right, it inspires you, right?
Yeah, the same way like a movie does, you know what I mean? The same way like a song would too.
But the point isn't to stay there forever, right? It's like there are still people who are revering Zyzz as they knew him back in 2010, and maybe they're the bitter types, right, that we mentioned earlier. Yeah. And it's like, you know, you see those similar processes happening in religions where it remains stagnant, and the people who are still like looking up to these unchanged symbols of idolization, you know what I mean? It's almost like you want to integrate it and take what you can and keep being you.
Yeah, dude. I feel like that's when Hegel talks about the death of truth, or not the death of truth, but he attacks truth when it stagnates. He's like, the worst thing you can do is try slow down or put an end to the conversation or the dialectical nature of how truth works. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, as soon as you grab onto your idea of what this means, and then you hold that true and you try to make that static and absolute, for whatever reason, it gives you security or whatever, you know, mental security for attaching yourself to a constant idea or an absolute idea. Because that's essentially what you do when you try to ratify truth as never changing, which is the fundamental problem. It's like, you know, that's stagnation. And that's something we should do away with. Like, the conversation has to keep getting said rather than it being idolized and just stagnates into this rigid system of understanding and thought. Like, there has to be that give to the idea for it to be effective, and it ought to be synthesized in a good way, you know?
Totally, man. Yeah, it's like, it's definitely, Zyzz is the finger pointing at the moon, fundamentally. At least the Zyzz that exists in someone's imagination, the Zyzz that exists in someone's symbolic interpretation. Fundamentally, there's something deeper. And whether that takes the form of Zyzz, whether it takes the form of bloody Goku from Dragon Ball Z, whatever your, you know, hero
Tony Soprano
choice. Tony Soprano is your hero, man. Oh,
friend
shit.
Stanley.
Friend Stanley is he's
hero.
Worth looking up to.
I think that's what was so humanizing about Zyzz. It's like he was perpetually aspiring to be the sickon, right? And even in his language, he'd be like, we're all going to make a Brahs. It's like he is there with you on that mission because he is on that mission himself.
Yeah.
It's like we're all bowing down to whatever the thing is that we're aspiring towards.
Do you know what? That's cool because that makes him fundamentally different to like Tony Robbins and there's Jordan Petersons and those other like motivational people who claim to have it figured out. He's like, yeah, I'm just like a dude. And we're going to do this thing together. This sick.
Yeah, he's not trying to stand in a position above you and trying to tell you what you do. That's my biggest complaint with Peterson. And even though that's not explicit, I feel like it's in his language a lot. Like, you look at all the videos online of Peterson and it's just like, dude, if you're in a bad place, you just feel offended rather than like inspired. Like, Peterson doesn't inspire as much as he tells you off, and you should stop doing the stupid shit you're doing.
Yeah, I personally strongly disagree, to be honest. I think that Peterson is fundamentally in the source himself, and he happens to be the professor on stage.
He is, I know that.
I think there's a level of humility, and he tries to paint that way as possible. But I do also appreciate the fact that he does serve a father figure role for a lot of people, and there's going to be that disconnect at some level.
I do know like Peterson's arc, and I am very well aware that he is in the process as well. And I know he doesn't mean to talk like he's from there, but I'm also just addressing what it kind of looks like on a superficial interpretation. Like, you know, like,
well, see, as far as symbolism,
that's what a lot of,
Peterson's a big, Peterson's like a father figure. And if that doesn't work for you, well, Zyzz is your cool big brother, you know?
Yeah, like Zyzz is closer to you, you know what I mean? Like, Zyzz is closer to you in the idea of the everyman. you know, in a good way. Like he's well and truly like a comrade in that sense. He's not like the boss yelling down at you, telling you, hey man, you know, he's trying to say, come on, bro, we got this. He's like your mate, you know?
Yeah, for sure,
He's like,
for sure.
He's literally like your mate. Yeah. In conclusion, man, dude, bro, cuz, yile. You know, in conclusion, the idea is that, let me start again. So, I have to get the clipping on Ableton.
All right, Brahs.
All right, Brahs. You know, it's just one-on-one with everyone here. That's my favorite quote, dude. All right, Brahs. To wrap this up, it's a one-on-one with everyone here, right, Brahs? We're all gonna fucking make it, bro. You know, don't be a fucking sad cunt, bro. You want to be a sick cunt.
If you want to be bra.
You're a sick cunt if you want to be, bro. You know, anyway. This is our little episode on Zyzz and the idea of we're all going to make it. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. We tried to really take a different approach on what Zyzz meant according to what's usually and normally out there and where he normally finds himself in the collective conscious and unconscious of the human experience, fucking whatnot. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do have any interesting opinions or you want to disagree, then dude, throw us a message. Message us. Like, we're not down to fight. I'm being serious. It may look like bullshit, but I'm actually not down to fight. I want to hear what other people have to say. And I want to see if I could be proven wrong or any of us could be proven wrong. Message us. Get on board. But yeah, no, like, honestly, like, honest to God, if you're listening and you think we're fucking completely cracked and all that kind of stuff, message us, man. Tell us what you reckon. Tell us what you think. Like, I'm fully open to hear it. And I want to not have an argument, but I want to have a conversation about it. And who knows, you might be right. So fucking, then you can carry, you know, you can carry a victory with you. I destroyed.
Agree with us? I want you to post your physique.
Post your physique. If you want to criticize me, first you have to post your physique. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. And you know, there's a lot more to come. We've got a lot of cool ideas in the bank, and we're all gonna make it, bro. You know, this is a signing out from the LP crew. See you later. 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 See you later.